One. Yo, my famous opener. What is up, everybody? I'm gonna wait for a couple people to jump on here. So I am insanely excited for this interview. And in just a second, you guys are gonna find out why. So give me a second here. Like I said, give it a couple minutes, minute or two, wait for a couple people to jump on. I'm just gonna share this to my group. So for those of you that are jumping on right now and watching this live, drop a comment, okay? And you got to say hashtag motherfucking live. And if you're catching this on the replay, you guys should know what to do. But you need to drop a comment, okay? You need to give me a hashtag replay. All right. So, guys, today's interview is I'm talking to Mr. Brian Ostermiller. Brian, introduce yourself. Tell the wonderful people why we're talking today and why this interview is so mother freaking special.
Yeah, man. So I guess you could say like I've had some pretty atypical results in my life over the past few months, right? 6 months ago, I was just getting started in the SMMA game. I didn't know where it was going, and now the agency's well over 6 figures and things are exploding. And I haven't had the opportunity to tell a lot of people about how I was able to do that so quickly and what I'm doing that's different from what everybody else is doing. So I'm excited to talk about it, man.
Yeah, so for those of you guys that are watching this now, I want to give you guys a little context. So, Brian, do you mind if I tell the story, or do you want to tell it?
You go ahead, and then I'll kind of tell my version.
Okay, there's 2 versions. So, Brian messaged me. How long ago was it?
Right, like late June.
Yeah.
In early July.
Yeah, summertime. He messaged me. He said, yo, fuck you doing? What's up with you, man? And next thing you know, he became a high-level mentorship and coaching student of mine. So we started out as teacher and student. So I essentially took Brian kind of under my wing and showed him everything that I know about growing and scaling an agency and doing it super quickly. And then what happened, it's pretty interesting, was Brian slowly transitioned into just becoming really good at what I was teaching him to do. And so we basically went from teacher and student to now we are full-blown business partners. And we are partners in the what's called the Agency Hypergrowth Program. If you guys don't know about that, it's essentially our flagship coaching program to take agencies to from wherever they are now to 6 figures in as little time as humanly possible, or as fast as humanly possible. You guys know what I mean. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. Brian, you tell your version of the story now. Let the people know.
So quick recap how I got to where I'm at. I worked for Pinterest, like Pinterest proper, for about a year. While I was at Pinterest, I was an account executive, so I sold Pinterest ads and then I managed the ads and helped businesses see success running Pinterest ads. After about 6 months of working at that job, like I started to feel like there was a lot more I could be doing. Like every single one of you, I learned about Shopify and drop shipping, realized that's just the worst thing in the world really quickly. And started to hear about social media marketing. I actually met, I'm sure you guys all know Rob Quinn. I came across him first. I actually got served one of his ads. And then about a week into knowing Rob, he interviewed Sebastian in his group. And Sebastian actually was offering his free sales course. So I grabbed his free sales course, consumed some of his content, and was just like really getting started with the idea of building a marketing agency. And I realized that there was a lot of fluff information out there on the internet. A lot of people like talked about cold calling, but there was just like I wasn't getting all my questions answered. So that's why I reached out to Sebastian, and then he told me it was going to be $1,500 to mentor me, and I almost lost it. At the time, that seemed like such a stupid amount of money. But I made it back within 60 days. So we're going to talk about what I did that was different, why I'm seeing more success than you guys are, and what you can change. So excited to dive into it.
Yeah, man, I'm super stoked. I think for those of you guys that are watching this now, I think you're gonna get a shit ton of value from this. So again, guys, if you are watching this live right now, drop a comment, give me a hashtag live. If you end up catching us on the replay, drop a comment, give me a hashtag replay. But I want Brian. So Brian, can you just tell us? You told us a little bit about your story and stuff. Talk a little bit more about, if you don't mind, about just how you actually got started in this whole business, because most people know my story and how I got started with Ty Lopez and cold calling and all that stuff. But I want you to talk about just how you got started in the whole thing, some of your struggles, some of the things you went through, some of the lessons you learned, all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. So if any of you have had like a one-on-one conversation with me, you know I speak pretty well. I have pretty naturally good speech capability. So my first default thought was like, oh, I'm going to cold call, right? Like I'm going to call every single business. And the reason I say my results are atypical is because I think I called 10 businesses on my first like official day of starting my agency. And like any of you that have cold called, you've realized that it's kind of a runaround to get a hold of people. So about call 3 or 4, I talked to a lady and she was interested. And it kind of like blew my mind that she was actually like interested. I think the conversation went something like her saying, oh my goodness, I can't believe you called. Like, we're kind of drowning right now. Let's please set up a meeting. So I went to Sebastian. I was like, dude, you need to help me prepare for this meeting. I went and had an in-person meeting with their business. It was super scary, super stressful. Came back, did a follow-up in-person meeting, and ended up closing them as a $2K a month retainer client. Still a client to this day, love every single one of them, and the results that we're producing for them have been incredible. After that, I got a little bit complacent for a minute. I had some struggles with like a business partner and trying to figure out where my priorities lied. And ultimately, I got to the point where I had one client, I had a few clients in the pipeline, and I was like, damn, I should probably quit my job and do this full time. The problem is that's scary. Like that was probably the scariest like moment that I've had in my life, like the idea of quitting this incredible job and going full time. Like I'm young, but I still have an apartment, I had bills, I have a wife, like there's responsibilities I had to take care of. So I talked to Sebastian a lot about it. He helped counsel me through the decision. And then ultimately, I ended up started actually helping people in Sebastian's program close their deals. And so I kind of decided that, okay, I can keep getting more clients for my agency and I can stay afloat by helping other people close their deals. After that, I kind of like made that leap and I had all day. First off, the first few weeks were just terrible. Like I woke up every morning like sick to my stomach because I was so stressed out. And I felt like I didn't have like a super solid game plan. But ultimately I started using LinkedIn and like learning just like, and I kind of learned this by myself, just how to like automate my systems and how to make everything work for me. So I started automating all my outreach. I started getting a lot more people into my pipeline. And I kind of started to realize that I have like a natural ability to sell and build relationships and close deals with people. So I got a few more clients really quickly for Ostermiller Advertising. I helped a few other people close deals for their agency. And then fast forward a few months after that point, and it takes us to this point here.
Awesome, man. I love it. I love it. So again, guys, for those of you that are just jumping on, Brian Ostermiller, he's talking about how he went from $0 literally in his bank account, like dead broke, just like I was.
I screenshotted it at the time because I remember I screenshotted it. And in my heart, like I knew that I was going to do something more. And I was like, I'm going to want this screenshot at some point because there's going to be a 1 in front of a lot more zeros in a couple of years. 100%,
man. So we're talking about how Brian went from, again, literally $0 in his bank account, which is a similar situation I was in at one point as well. to now making over $10,000 a month with his digital marketing agency. And the funny thing about this whole story is that, again, guys, if you haven't heard already, for those of you guys that are just jumping on now, Brian was originally a mentorship student of mine. So I was coaching him and helping him build his agency and teaching him everything that I knew and learned about growing an agency and doing it really quickly. And he went from being a student to now being a coach. And now we're business partners. So it's really awesome the way things work out. One thing I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, Brian. We talk a lot about this. What are some of the biggest struggles and issues that you see agency owners facing? Whether that be new agency owners that are just jumping into business, or people that they've been cranking away at their agency, kind of like you were when we first met. You were going at it for a few months. And you just kind of felt you were spinning your wheels. What are some of the challenges you see a lot of these people facing?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about something that I promise you none of you have ever heard before. It's something I talk about a lot, and it's that there's in a bad place mentally when they're starting their agency, and that kind of gets pronged out into a few different areas. One being their motive is wrong, and then two, they haven't put themselves ahead in life to where they're at an advantage starting their marketing agency. And what I mean by that is it's often, I would say it's kind of a fallacy in the industry that this is easy. That if you just buy a course and implement what they say, that you'll get to 10 figures or 5 figures, 10K a month. But that's just not the case.
Shit, 10 figures would be on another level, man. Sign me up.
Soon. It's just double what I've already done. How hard could that be? He's got double the figures.
Right.
So they think that it's going to be easy. And so day one, they start making a few calls and they get excited because some people express interest, but they never actually get credit card information. They never actually start fulfilling services, and they never actually close deals. That could stem from hundreds of different personal problems. But to answer your question, it's two things. One, their motive is bad, so they're chasing money. And like money is obviously part of the equation, right? Like money is always going to be there. But Sebastian, you and I talk about all the time how we use money as benchmarks and objectives, not as like something that we lust after, which is where a lot of people miss. And so money has to be in the right perspective. And you have to have a reason for starting your marketing agency other than to buy Yeezys and a Supreme fanny pack, right? And so for me, when I first started, I had already been in the digital game for a long time. So I realized how many businesses suck at advertising, and two, like how much I could help them, and three, how much potential I had in the space. And then money was kind of an afterthought, right? Like all I needed was to pay my bills, but I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm going to buy an Audi next year. Like I'm going to do this. I just realized that there was a gap in the market and then I could fill that gap. So that was my motive. And that's still my motive. And that's a big difference between most of you. A lot of you probably, if I asked you like, why are you doing this? You'd give me some BS answer. But that's something you really have to believe like in your core if you're going to be successful, because people can feel that, right? Like people can resonate off your vibes. And if you're in a meeting with them and they can feel that you're just anxious to take their money, it's gonna go poorly. Like for example, guys, I signed a new client with my agency last week, and we were going over the proposal, and for 30 minutes out of the 35-minute call, all we did was talk about her kids' Halloween costumes. That's it. That's all we talked about. Like it's somewhat of a pointless conversation, but I got to learn more about her family. I got to learn more about her story. And ultimately we became better friends. And then the contract was an afterthought. And most people flip that scenario. And then number two, they haven't positioned themselves to be successful. So whether that's through the right mentorship, the right sales training, the right life experiences, the right knowledge set, in my opinion, until you reach certain benchmarks in terms of like sales abilities, digital marketing knowledge, life experience, network, you should definitely have either a part-time or a full-time job supplementing your life while you're figuring those things out. and you'll be in a lot better place in the long run. And real quick, Cam asked, like, what services do I offer? It's a good question. I offer all services depending on what the client needs. I think you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're only offering one. So
big time, man. So I do have a couple questions for you, but real quick, for those of you that are watching live, drop a comment, give me a hashtag live, because if you're wondering why the hell I'm telling you to do that, it's because Facebook, for some odd reason, likes to limit the reach of these awesome freaking videos. And by you guys dropping some more comments, we can get this video out to as many people as possible. So, so let's see. Cam said, how many people do you employ? So what we'll do, guys, is I just want Brian to talk a little bit more about all the knowledge he has and stuff, because he's a super smart motherfucker. That's why we're working together. And at the end, guys, we'll do a live Q&A, so don't worry about that. We'll answer all the questions you have. So if you guys do have questions and you want to get them answered by either me or Brian, make sure you stick around to the end. Don't jump off here and continue watching fucking whatever you guys watch on YouTube. So, Brian, one question I have for you. In your opinion, going from a student of mine to, again, if you guys that are just jumping on here don't know, Brian was initially a mentorship student of mine, and now we've transitioned into being full-blown 50-50 business partners in our agency hypergrowth program. So Brian, in your opinion, two questions. One, what do you feel is the difference between somebody going and buying a course for $500 or $1,000 and investing into a higher level mentorship and coaching program? What do you think is the difference between that? And I'll ask a follow-up question after you answer that.
Yeah, man, that's a great question. And it's something important for people to understand. So the problem with courses and videos is that they're built to serve a mass population and not to fix individual problems. And so everybody's going to have different struggles, and a course can't fix that. So I think courses are a great way to lay a foundation of basic knowledge. But ultimately, to become a high achiever, you need somebody who's where you want to be and has your best interest in mind, so that they can pull you up to where they're at. And so I think, like, Sebastian, what's interesting is, like, no lie, there's a lot of mentors that I could have hired that were at your level at the time, right? And I think that's something important for people to understand, because if any mentor says, I have the silver bullet, or I'm the only person that can get you here, they're lying to you. But what resonated with me the most is, one, I could tell you had my best interest in mind, and then two, you've done things that I want to do. And so the difference between hiring a mentor and buying a course is, a mentor is going to, one, fix your problems on an insanely micro level. And so if you're messing up with your speech patterns during a sales call, or if you're really nervous, or if your mindset is in a weird place, 9 times out of 10, a course video can't fix that. But if I can sit down and talk to you and ask you questions and explore your psychology and explore your motivations and where things are going wrong, we can fix the problem. And so, for example, if somebody was like, hey, Brian, I've learned a lot about sales and starting a marketing agency, and I feel like I have a good knowledge base, but I'm just not getting the results that I want, I can't point you in the direction of a few videos and expect that to fix the problem. Because that person's problem is different than your problem, and it's different than my problem. So I can only help them on, like, a one-on-one level. So I would rather have somebody pay me $1,000 for my time and let me sit down with them for 3 hours and diagnose where they're going wrong, what their problems are, like why they're mentally in a bad place, and come up with conclusions, than sell them a course. Because the first option is going to be infinitely more impactful.
Big time, man. Big time. Exactly. So I really love what you said about being able to, because that's really the difference, guys, in having a mentor and having a set or a list of training videos. Those training videos, as Brian said, are built for the masses. They're not built for understanding your specific issues. And as the saying goes, you don't know what you don't know, right? Because only until you actually get a mentor who's there to kick you in the ass and uncover the actual deep problems, you'll never know that you even had those problems in the first place, which is a super, super dangerous thing to have happen to you in business, is not even know the problems that you have, because you're just going to keep spinning your wheels, doing whatever it is you're doing, thinking that you're doing things the right way, and thinking that you're figuring it out all on your own, and you don't even realize the insanely harmful issues you're having within your processes and your systems, and a whole bunch of different things that we can get into. One other question I had, so Brian, why do you feel like this landscape and this industry in particular with digital marketing agencies and things like that, why do you feel like a lot of people tend to lean more towards the course thing, and they are they shy away a little bit from investing in a mentor and a coaching program like you did in the beginning? You were a little hesitant to invest, $1,500, $2,000, whatever it was, to work with me. Why do you think that is? Why are people kind of feeling that way?
Yeah, that's a great question. What my heart is telling me right now, if I were to think back, is courses are easier, mentors are harder. And what I mean by that is, if I buy a course, it's easy for me to put it on my shelf of courses and not be accountable to it. And it makes my life less stressful, and it makes my life easier. And so that's a huge reason why most people don't see success from courses. I mean, it's not necessarily the course content. It's just that it's too easy not to apply yourself when buying a course. Often courses are cheaper, and often it's easier to make courses sexier because you can pack them around, you can pack testimonials around them, and they look sexier, they're easier, and they require less effort from whoever bought them. If you're going to take money out of your bank account and give it to a mentor, you're making a massive commitment, right? Because if somebody pays you to write a mentor, then we're going to be on their butt, keeping them accountable, making sure that they're doing what we say, and they have somebody else to report to, whereas with a course, that's absent. And then also, on that same note of commitment, I really do believe that most people won't hire a mentor because they don't really believe within themselves that they're serious about their ambitions. And I think a course is an easy way to say oh yeah, I'm investing in myself, I'm learning, always learn, right? And it makes life easier. It kind of supplements the fact that you're not really taking any action, because you can put it off as saying oh yeah, I'm learning, I'm setting myself up for the future. But the reason that mentorship is so powerful is because it's such a strong outward commitment to the inward dedication that you have. And most people just frankly don't have that inward dedication. So they never get to the place where they feel comfortable outwardly hiring a mentor. And that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not having that full inner drive. You just have to recognize it. If you don't recognize it, you're going to be miserable.
Dude, guys, for those of you that are watching, or for those of you that catch the replay, that was absolutely golden right there. So yeah, the courses give you a false sense of security.
Mm-hmm.
And it tricks your mind into thinking you're actually doing something, but you're not. You're only delaying you getting to where you actually want to be.
And it's tangible, right? It's something that you can click through, and it's super tangible. So I think that tangibility appeases a part of your mind that's absent with mentorship.
Big time, man. And as I always say, one of my favorite quotes, I don't remember exactly who said this. I know Dan Locke says this. I don't know who actually originally created it, but I don't care. All I know is I love the quote: people that pay attention. I say this to Brian probably every single day to remind him that we need to hold people accountable. Because again, people that pay attention, guys. That's why you see people that go and invest $5K, $10K, $20K into mentors. That's why they see such high success rates. That's why you see these people seeing massive success with whatever it is they're doing. And everybody's wondering, how the hell are you doing it? It's because they made the commitment to invest into somebody who is doing what they want to be doing and is where they want to be.
Exactly.
And a lot of people look at that as, well, that means I have to pay money. And guys, Brian, I'll let you talk about this. What are your thoughts on people looking at investing into a mentor as a cost, whereas they should be looking at it as ROI. And
Mhm.
also, if you'd like, you can talk a little bit about the huge investment you and I just made.
Yeah. Cool. Two prongs to this response. One, I invested $1,500 into Sebastian mentoring me. I made about 10K from that investment. 2 months after, I met an awesome guy. His name is Ben Slater. He's built multiple seven-figure businesses. He lives in Australia, and I paid him $5,000 to mentor me. And I would say the next month, I made about 15 grand from his mentorship. This past week, Sebastian and I were really exploring how we could be better coaches and help people more efficiently, because we're both like still learning a lot in that space, and we have a lot of room to grow in that space. So we were looking for mentors. We ended up finding one, and we paid him 12K to mentor us and help us be better coaches and help us learn how to make other people become high performers as well. And I'm confident investment will result in massive income, because you better believe we've been taking massive action on what these guys are saying, because we paid them a lot of money.
Exactly. Because we paid, we're paying attention. We're showing up to their weekly live calls that they do 3 times a week. We're getting on the one-to-one calls with them. We're doing everything we need to be doing, and we're seeing the fruits from our labor because we paid. It's the only reason why we're paying attention. Now, I just want to touch on something else that Brian said. If that's not you, that's okay. That's the thing. We're not saying that if you're unwilling to invest in a mentor, then there's something wrong with you or you're stupid. That's not the case. Because really all it comes down to is how badly do you actually want to do that thing that you say you want to do. Because if it truly is a burning desire, then you will do what you know you need to do. And that's all it's going to come down to. It's not a judgment game. It's just a matter of how bad do you actually want it.
Yeah, you know? I think like a really good example, like history is full of examples of that, right? Like if you look at like biblical stories, the sides of the fight that had the most skin in the game and the most to fight for always had the best results and always won. If you look at any situation in history, the people that, and all of you know this, but the people that put the most investment in always pulled out the highest rewards. And it's the same way in business, right? The businesses that stay small are the ones that don't put money in, and the businesses that get big are the ones that put more money in, right? Think about anybody that you know that's huge. They're putting more money into the game than you are. And I think something, Sebastian, that I misunderstood for a long time is that I had to wait until I had capital to put money in. And it kind of goes back to your point of like looking at mentorship the wrong way. My second mentorship, I actually put on a credit card and I went into a little bit of debt for. But I was so confident that the things that they were going to teach me would put me so far in the other direction that it made all kinds of sense. And so often when I talk to people about working with us, they look at it as an expense. And a lot of that comes down to like having a salary mindset and not having a limitless money mindset. But if you look at mentorship as an expense, you're completely off. Because if your mentor isn't getting you your money back and then some within 30 days, they're doing something wrong and they're the wrong person to be investing with. 100%. And that's something super important to understand. I was talking to a young guy the other day who was like, oh my goodness, like there's no way I can afford it. There's no way I can afford it. And it wasn't his fault. He just needs to shift his mind and say, okay, how can I afford this? How is this going to help me make more money? And how can I make more money tomorrow? And when you start shifting your mindset in that way, the sky's the limit. Seriously, it's a crazy, crazy mental shift.
Big time, man. And one thing I want to touch on, because I do have a couple other things we want to talk about. By the way, guys, if you're watching this live, you know what to do. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you. So you got to drop a comment. Give me a hashtag live. If you're catching this on the replay, drop a comment. Give me a hashtag replay so Facebook can get this video out to as many people as possible that need to hear this stuff. One thing I want to touch on, man, and this goes for everybody that's watching, it's a little ironic, right? Because as agency owners, we are always complaining that other business owners aren't willing to pay us. They aren't willing to invest. They aren't willing to pay the $2,000 or the $2,500 a month retainer for us to bring them back an ROI. Yet as agency owners, we do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
We're never willing to go and invest 5K or 10K or 20K into a mentor that's going to make us 5 or 10X that money back. So it's like you get back what you put out into the world. So if you're unwilling to invest in yourself, why would you expect business owners and people you're talking to do the same thing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I want to talk about another super powerful principle, everybody. But before I do, we have 17 people watching live. Will all of you guys just comment down below like what you've learned, what you've taken away so far, what's going to change, or just like comment your thoughts up to this point. Yeah, I want to see a few comments roll in before I talk about this principle because it's a huge one, and I need you all to be focused. So, Dan, put skin in the game. What else?
And also, guys, just to remind you, we are going to be doing a live Q&A after we finish running our mouths a little bit. So,
okay, cool, man. So, the world is a mirror of your inner self. Right? So think about that.
Yep.
The things around you are a reflection of what's inside of you. Right? If somebody's really lean and they have a really chiseled physique, it's because inwardly they respect their body a lot and they have a passion for fitness and they understand health. If somebody has wealth and abundance, it's because they have a lot of inward facing traits, right? And on another level, on a sales level, if somebody's like killing the game in sales, it's because they have their priorities straight within themselves. So what I mean by this, and it goes back to your system, for a long time, it's crazy, guys, but when I first started selling my marketing agency, the most common objection I got was the partner objection, meaning I have to talk to my spouse or I have to talk to my business partner. And I got that objection really commonly. And I was talking to my second mentor and I was like, why is this happening? And he said, well, like, what is your relationship like with your spouse? And I was somewhat of a newlywed at the time and I was starting my business and I didn't feel personally comfortable with where my ground was stood with my wife and what I was in control of and what decisions I could make. And so because of that inward quarrel, because of that inward insecurity, I was reflecting that onto the people I was talking to, right? I'm guessing 9 out of 10 of you get money as the most common objection on your sales calls, right? Think about it. I promise you it's true. I'm blowing your mind right now. But business owners are telling you that your services are too expensive. And it's because inside of you, you don't believe that you can bring in revenue whenever you want. And you don't believe in ROI. And so your people that you're talking to are having the exact same problem. I just start thinking about that. Like, Sebastian, I'm sure you've experienced the same thing at points in your agency. But to go back to I don't even remember what your original question was, but
all good, man.
When you're on these sales calls, that's why I talked about earlier that you have to be in a good, comfortable place in life. Otherwise, you're going to struggle. And so,
yeah, for sure, man. So we got Matt.
What's going on?
What's up, everybody? So question for you, man. A lot of people.
Hold on, my computer's
oh boy. Some tech
dropping too much knowledge.
Too much knowledge.
Freaked out a little bit.
Overheating the damn thing.
Okay, so just to wrap up that thought, Hakeem, you can leave if you're going to be negative like that. Just to wrap up the thought, your prospects are always going to mirror your own insecurities and your own confidences. So now I close clients at about an 80% success rate with my own agency because I have bulletproof confidence in the results that they can provide. I know exactly what the ROI is going to be. I'm in a good place financially, mentally, not saying I have money in the bank. I'm just saying financially, I have a good outlook on money. And yeah, I'm willing to invest in myself. So it's easy for me to portray to business owners that they need to invest in themselves. And they're just mirroring my own inward state of being. So
big time, man. So Rocco asked, how can I find a trustable mentor? So the way you find a trustable mentor is you got to know what to look for, because if you don't know what to look for, it's easy to get sucked into something that isn't probably the best thing for you. So Brian, I think this is the perfect question for you. When leading up to you hiring me as your mentor, what were you looking for? What were some of the things you were thinking? What would have been in your mind? Okay, this means that this person is a good fit for me as a mentor, or I don't want, like, what were you looking for?
Tangible results, ethics.
There you go.
Boom.
That's simple.
Align your ethics, align the results. That's it.
100%, man. So for everybody that's watching, most people that are watching are, I'm assuming, are people that are either looking to start their digital marketing agency, or more likely people that have already started it. They're in the midst of the whole thing, and they're looking for ways to grow and kind of get out of that rut and the plateau that they are stuck in. It's almost like a glass ceiling. So what are some practical, like, tips and things that you can give to everybody that's watching on, because everybody's always asking, well, what's the best prospecting method? Should I cold call? You know, how do I pick a niche? How to sell, all these different things. Like, what are some of the major tips you can give to everybody watching right now?
Yeah. Obviously, everybody knows Sebastian and I teach a lot of automation, but I'm going to somewhat unsell what we do right here. Ready? The best prospecting system is the one that you can do day in and day out consistently. The reason that we teach what we do is because it doesn't require a lot of input from you, and cold calling and cold email does. And so that's why people can't do it day to day. It's like dieting, right? If you can't stick to your diet day to day, it's never going to work. Same with prospecting and growing your business. If you can't stick to something day in and day out, it's not going to work. So number one, find an outreach prospecting system that works for you. If LinkedIn automation sounds like something that might be a good fit for you, shoot either of us a message and we'll chat. If you think I'm going to try cold calling, go for it. But if you don't do it for at least 21 days straight, you're not going to know. So that's number one. Number two, sit down, clearly figure out what your goals are, what your why is, where you want to be, and how you're going to get there, and draw yourself a roadmap and stick to it. Again, if you need help with this process, shoot me a message. I'll help you out with it. Number three, continue to reach out and surround yourself with the people that you want to be like. Sebastian, I think the coolest part about the new mentorship that we're in is we're literally the tiniest fish in the pond, and everybody else is just light years ahead of us. And it's so awesome because it reminds me every single day that I am nothing.
Exactly.
So, yep. Surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do. Do those three things and your success will skyrocket.
Big time, man. By the way, just to give you guys some context, the new mentor that we just hired is doing about $700,000-$800,000 a month. So just kind of let that sink in, let that marinate a little bit. Brian, what do you feel like is the biggest thing that agency owners are lacking within their business that's stopping them from being able to grow?
Confidence. And that's across a lot of different facets. That's in your sales, your outreach, your long-term game, your short, everything. People lack confidence. I'm beating you all right now because I'm so confident in every part of my system that I'm just crushing it.
Yep.
It's that simple.
100%, man. So let's talk a little bit about confidence, because I like to talk about it. How do you think people that aren't necessarily feeling the most confident, how do you think that people can start to develop that confidence? Where can they derive it from? Where does it come from?
Two things. One, you got to figure out, and you got to do a lot of introspection and figure out where you're lacking. And you can't BS with yourself. You have to be very strict. Figure out where you're lacking. So I like journaling at night and figuring out where I lack during the day. Find out where you're lacking. If that's outreach, sales, desire, motive, fulfillment, services, clientele, niche, whatever it may be, might be all of the above. Figure out where you're missing and then fix the problem.
So actually, I'd like to touch on something that you're saying. So something like a follow-up to that statement. So basically what you're saying is people need to figure out where they're having issues.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems that agency owners have, and honestly, this probably just goes for entrepreneurs in general, is that they're so unwilling to admit when they have problems. And they're so unwilling to admit when they are doing something wrong, or they're not necessarily doing something at the highest capacity that they could be doing it. And I know for me personally, I've had a lot of people that I've talked to, they usually say things like, well, I'm doing this, and that, and I'm just going to figure it out on my own, and I'm just going to start piecing the puzzle, piecing the pieces of the puzzle together, right? Kevin, what's up, my man? And the reality is, that's the exact recipe for not just failure, but honestly, disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute disaster within your business and potentially within your life, depending on how you have things going on. But yeah, man, not admitting when you have problems is a huge thing.
Something I've been working on the past few weeks is vulnerability.
Exactly.
And how to like ethically be vulnerable. And like you've seen it, like it's hard for me to be like, damn, I messed up and like I need to fix it. But if any of you saw like the live video I made this morning, like that vulnerability has completely skyrocketed my growth. And so it's the same point you just made. Entrepreneurs struggle to be vulnerable. And so they don't ever like truly are humbled to the point where they can learn. And
big time.
That's something I've been working on recently.
Yep, 100%, man. Hit the nail on the freaking head. So guys, it is time. We're gonna open this bad boy up for some questions. So guys, this is literally your opportunity to ask Ryan or myself anything about growing your agency, getting clients, closing clients, keeping clients, any part of that process, anything you guys are struggling with right now. Literally, this is your chance to drill us. So if you want some golden nuggets and some really awesome knowledge, this is your opportunity to zap it from our brains, if you will. So guys, start dropping some questions. What are you wondering about? What do you need some help with? We're here to help. In the meantime, though, as you guys continue to drop those questions, Brian and I will just keep talking some shit while we're here. So Brian, do you want to talk a little bit about, because we know most of the struggles for agency owners.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest struggle for agency owners is not just getting clients, because getting clients is a broad thing, right? There's like layers and levels to getting clients. And what you need, sorry, there's like a fly in my face. What you need to get clients at the core is a system that can create what's called predictability that almost no agency owner has. It's almost like elusive in a way. Like getting predictability as in, every single week you're going to have X amount of appointments, which will equate to X amount of new clients. That's like almost a dream for most people because they can never get it. So you need a system that allows you to have predictability. So what do you think, what do you think are some of the biggest struggles and things that people could start implementing right away within their agency to start growing?
Okay, I have a unique answer for that.
Let's hear it.
Patience. And what I mean by that is like, you're not going to know your closing rate until you get on 20 calls or 30 calls or 40 calls or 50 calls.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to know your numbers until you do a lot of them, right? That'd be like turning an ad on and after 2 hours determining whether or not it's successful.
Exactly.
So I would say, one, track all of your daily metrics, track every single one of them, and then over a 30-day period, look at your metrics and see where people are dropping off, right? And so if you're getting a lot of people interested in the cold warm area, but you're having like very little meetings, it's because something in that system, that part of your machine is broken. If you're having a lot of hour-long meetings, but nobody is showing up for proposal overviews, you're having a lot of broken systems there. If nobody's signing the proposal that you're creating, it's because you didn't get them to know, like, and trust you throughout the process, right? And so Rocco, I think that's how you say his name. I hope I probably messed that up. I definitely did. He said, I'm doing LinkedIn outreach and Facebook outreach. And he said, I'm stuck at 3K like for 2 months. Should I be more patient? That's a tough question. I'd have to ask you a lot more follow-up questions to that.
Mm.
But I would say the most likely answer to that question is the answer I just gave, that there's probably something broken there. 2 months is a long time to not onboard a new client. So take a look at your complete sales cycle, and like I just mapped out, and figure out where it's broken. And shoot me a message, man, after this live, and I'll walk you through it.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, guys, any questions, drop them down below. We are here to help. This is, again, literally your opportunity to ask Brian or myself anything that you are struggling with, anything you're wondering about, questions about sales, how to close deals, how to retain clients, something that not a lot of people talk about, which is insanely important. Honestly, Brian, if you want to talk a little bit about that right now, the retention, because most people think that once you actually get a client, that the game is over, and in actuality, the game is just starting.
Questions I got asked earlier by Josh and Rohan. What niche do I work with? I'll tell you guys if you promise not to go after the same niche or think that it's like a golden niche, because that's not real. I work with realtors because I know the space really well. I don't work with any other niche because I know realtors the best. Principal, work with a niche that you can get behind and know a lot about, and you'll be successful.
Boom.
Do we offer mentorship? Yes and no. Agency Hypergrowth is a mentorship program. We're pretty selective with who we take on for that program. So we could talk to you about it, but again, we're pretty selective with who we work with there.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, man.
I was going to say, in regards to client retention, Sebastian, the biggest thing you guys are going to lose clients over, honestly, most of the time, it's not going to be results. Half of it is results, but I would say it's poor relationship building. Kevin's commenting in the comments, this guy's been killing it, guys, with getting clients on. But I would say the biggest thing is not building relationships. But Dylan just dropped.
Wait, I got this one. I'll answer. Okay. This actually relates to me, like, so.
Yeah, you'll have a good answer for this because I'm blessed with my answer to this.
So Dylan said, what is your daily routine like? I have issues with environment. I try to work from home or places with Wi-Fi, and it's a bad system because there's a lot of noise at my house. I'm laughing because Brian knows why I'm laughing.
Sebastian lives in a trap house, guys.
So there's a lot of noise at my house or random places. Do you guys work from an office? Haven't been consistent prospecting, getting sales calls. Can you guys give any advice on that? So there's a couple facets and sort of layers to that question. Number one, environment. Let me show you guys something. So for those of you that have been following me for a bit, you guys know I work from home, and my home is in New York City. And not only is it in New York City, but it's literally across the street, directly across the street from a freaking hospital. So all day long, I'm hearing cop cars, fire trucks, ambulances, you name it, even crazy people out there that are screaming like maniacs. So I have realized that my environment was what was causing me to be or was causing a huge lack of productivity a lot of times. So I have recently shifted and changed my environment completely. So now I'm actually in an office. So let me show you guys real quick. Turn my computer around, show you what that looks like. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is an office that I just hopped in here really recently. But the point is you need to change your environment. You have to, because what's going to happen, man, is, and this the question I was asked by Dylan, what's going to happen is you're going to get stuck in your environment, and you're going to feel like you can never actually get out of it, right? So the answer is yes, man. Change your environment as quickly as possible without like breaking the bank or doing anything super crazy. And the second,
cheaper than you would think.
What's that?
Offices are cheaper than you would think.
Big time. They're not crazy expensive. And this one is super dope too. So, and the second part, haven't been consistent with prospecting and getting sales calls. Do you guys have any advice on that? So Brian, you can answer that part.
Yeah, guys. Ready? Here's the answer. Have a journal. Every single day, write down what you're going to accomplish. Write down your goals for the next few weeks. and review your vision every single day. I'm huge on vision. And something that I do, I have like a Google Doc that I review every morning before I go to the gym. And it's just like, it's kind of like my vision board. I have like some positive affirmations there. I write down my goals for the day. I got to be like mentally strong so I can deal with Sebastian all day. And
hey, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
But I would say, Dylan, what you should start doing that's actionable is every single day write down your goals, what you want to accomplish that day, and then review your list at the end of the day and hold yourself super, super accountable.
Big time. So let's see. Aaron said, what can we do to instill more confidence in ourselves and what we're selling? So let me give you guys a little context. A while back in my golden days, I used to play basketball religiously. Like, I'm talking twice a day, 6-7 days a week, like an absolute madman. And I remember in high school, even at one point, I wanted to, like, my goal, my dream was to go pro and like play overseas or something like that. And I remember I would always be wondering, where can I, like, how do I get more confident, right? Like, how do I become more confident? And then every time I would go and play in an actual game, I would just kill it. And the reason why was because I didn't have to pull confidence from thin air and some woo-woo Tony Robbins bullshit. My confidence came from the 5:30 a.m. morning workouts that I was doing every single day. It was coming from the work that I was putting in when nobody was watching. The confidence was coming from the insane amount of just like mind-numbing, gut-busting almost work that I was putting in and day out without even thinking twice about it, without feeling like I need to boast on social media, just putting in the work. That's where confidence comes from. So confidence comes from action. Because if you're not taking action, that's when doubt starts to creep in, because you're not sure if you're actually capable of doing whatever it is you're doing, right? Yeah. Because you haven't even been doing it, right? So in this case, obviously this is not the same as basketball, but the same concepts can apply. So if you want to be more confident in what it is you're selling, you need to take action and put a team in place. If you guys don't know, Brian and I don't actually do any of the work for our clients, even though that sounds kind of weird and like, well, what the fuck you're doing then, right? No, we're just really, really good at finding a kick-ass rock star team to put in place that can fill the holes that Brian and I have in our own sort of character, if you will.
So if any of my clients are watching this, we still have you taken care of, and to clarify, we just have our team do it. We just have people that are better than us doing it. Trust me, you don't want me running your Google ads.
100%. Actually, this leads me into something I want to talk about. Not going to be a super long tangent, but a little bit of a tangent. So many people that are trying to grow their agency get caught up in the trap of trying to do everything themselves. And a lot of times, guys, that comes purely, honestly, from selfishness, not wanting to split revenue or split profits with a team, or you just want to keep all the money to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Guys, let me give you a golden nugget right here, a really important lesson that I learned. The skill, what's not important is the skill of becoming great at Facebook ads. This is like one of the biggest lies in the industry of growing an agency, is that you need to become good at Google AdWords, you need to become good at SEO or good at Facebook ads. No. Forget about becoming good at those things. Instead, what's infinitely more important is becoming better at being able to A, identify your strengths and weaknesses, find your holes in yourself, and B, being able to go out and find the right people to fill those holes. That skill will take you infinitely further than just being good at running Facebook advertising.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, guys? The skill of being able to identify what you're not good at, and then on top of it, being able to go out and find the right people to put in place to fill those holes, it's a ridiculously valuable skill.
Yep.
And that's why so many agency owners are failing, is because they're doing the opposite. They're trying to do everything themselves instead of understanding the principles of building a team, which is some of the things that Brian and I teach. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, guys. So let's see if we get any more questions coming in. We do have, 18 people on here. So we should have, or now we got 20. We should have at least a couple questions coming in.
We'll answer 2 more.
Yeah, we'll do a couple more questions. And then if Brian, if you have anything else to drop on here. Actually, if you guys stay until the end of this live, we're going to drop a little bit of a special offer for you guys. And no, this is not for you to buy anything. So don't worry about that. But it's not some fucking webinar. All right, Kevin. See you, my man. Guys, again, if you have any questions, drop them right now. This is literally, guys, if you're not asking questions, I don't know what you're doing, because this is your opportunity to just drill Brian and I and get.
I was going to say, guys, like, one thing that I want you all to take away from this is that I really do want you to, like, reach out to me and talk to me. Aaron is in here. I hope I don't embarrass him or anything, but Aaron and I had, like, an incredible conversation the other day, and we talked about, like, a really awesome action plan for him to follow. And, like, I didn't try and sell him anything, right? Aaron, if you're still watching, like, drop a comment on what your experience was like with our conversation. But don't be scared to, like, reach out to me or Sebastian. Like, we genuinely have your best interest in mind, and we're always going to help you with what you need. Joey, do you prefer buyer ads or seller ads for the realtors? Good question. It's the same for me. It's the realtor's choice. So, yeah, guys, don't be scared to reach out.
All right, guys. Like I said, let's keep getting some questions coming in. But actually, before I say what I want to say, Brian, so Robbie said, listen to these guys. They really know what they're doing. Yeah, man. So Robbie's actually in the agency hypergrowth program right now, and he's killing it. He's booking appointments back to back. So, Brian, if you want to just talk a little bit about what it is that we actually do, what the agency hypergrowth program looks like, things like that, like what we actually do for and with agency owners, and why it's different than everything else in the market.
For sure, man. So I would say really, like, what makes it different is, I would say the biggest thing is the fact that, one, like, we're going to be able to help you on a one-on-one level. And what Sebastian and I have mastered is being able to have everything be as systematized and run as automated as possible. That doesn't mean that we've built some magic money-making machine. That's not real. But I own a six-figure marketing agency, and I work on it for about an hour or two a day. And I continue to add clients every single week. And so I would say the answer is, we're going to help you build systems that makes your agency run efficiently and that we're able to scale. And then also that we guarantee that we'll add 10K of revenue to your business, or you don't have to pay us. Like, that's the contract that we sign with all of our students because of how confident we are in the results that we provide. So I would say that's what makes us different. I don't want to, like, pump it up too much and try and sell it to you guys. Like, this is, working with us is really such, like, an internal decision on your part that there really shouldn't be too much selling necessary. For
sure, man. That's exactly what I was going to say. So if you guys, if it sounds like something that's remotely interested or interesting rather to you, you can reach out either to me or to Brian. As Brian mentioned, he touched on this before, we are insanely selective with who we bring on. Unlike everybody else out there right now that's selling courses and that will sell to anybody, we're actually the opposite. We all like to bring people into the agency hypergrowth program that we feel like we can actually help, that are motivated on a different level. And it's funny, we actually turned down, Brian, what would you say? We probably turned down like 50, 60, maybe even 75% of the people we talk to just because they're not a fit.
Yeah, big time.
So, but again, if this sounds like, you know, that might be something for you guys, if you think you're cut out for it, shoot me a message or shoot Brian a message, and we'll get you guys set up with a call. We'll have a chat, see if it makes sense. But anyways, guys, so Cole said tired of courses. Yeah, man. That's exactly why Brian and I started the agency hypergrowth programs, because we were both completely fed up with the bullshit out there of courses. And that's why you see nobody getting any real actionable results. And honestly, this is just a little bit of a humble brag here, but Brian, I think you can agree with this. I don't see anybody else out there that's teaching how to build an agency that has the results that we have. And it's just the truth. There's no opinions. There's no selling. It's just the reality of what it is. But anyways, guys, enough about the program. That's not what we're trying to do here. So I want to answer you guys' questions. What are you guys struggling with? For me personally, I'm huge on sales, as Brian knows. So if you guys have questions about, like, different objections you're having trouble with overcoming, things like that, So James said, patience is key. Just started working with these two and can't wait to see everything come together. When I build my pipeline, I really need help on honing on my confidence during the cold call meetings. Yeah, man. So James said, yeah, exactly, man. Patience is key. We're going to help you crush it, dude, for sure.
James, we'll practice that on our sales clinic next Monday.
Yep.
We'll do a lot of practice with that.
For sure. By the way, guys, if you didn't know, we have sales clinics that we host once a week within the Agency Hypergrowth program. Brandon, what's up? So, like I say, guys, drop some questions. This is your opportunity right now, live, while Brian and I are taking the time out of our days to talk to you motherfuckers. Ask us some questions. What are you struggling with? What can we help you with? That's what we're here to do, here to help. Brian, do you have anything you want to add just in general?
No, man, I think I pretty much talked about everything. Just again, guys, reach out to me, connect with me, talk to me. I want to meet all of you and talk to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I think, Sebastian, what I'm gonna do, we have 15 people live, so hopefully people are watching the replay later on. But my calendar is pretty full, or pretty empty Thursday and Friday, actually like super empty, and Saturday as well. So because of that, guys, what I'm gonna do is we'll drop, Sebastian will pin a link in the description of this video with a link to my calendar, and you guys can book a strategy session with me, and we'll chat about where you're at, where you're looking to go, and things like that, and I'll provide some value and help you out. So I'm just gonna do it for the next 72 hours because my calendar is so open. So if you guys are watching now, you'll definitely get that chance. If you watch the replay soon, you'll get that chance as well.
For sure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to just drop the link in the comments. So obviously, if you guys want this, just PM myself or Brian. But this is the link. I'm trying to see if I can drop a comment, how I can do that.
I would just like edit the post description, put it in there.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'll do. But yeah, guys, I'm just going to drop in the comments anyways. So again, guys, before we jump off here, what questions do you have? Please, trying to help. Sales, client acquisition. Let us know what you guys are working on, what you're struggling with. Just trying to help you guys as much as freaking possible.
We'll do Rohan's question as the last question because it's a good question. Some business owners say that they have tried working with other agencies who have mentioned they were specific with their niche and they still don't have any results. How do you make them warm and close them? That's a great question, and it's a common case of
really good question.
PTSD. So with somebody who's nervous like that, and somebody who's really scared to branch out, the best thing that you can do is not try and sell them anything and just build a relationship with them, Rohan. So talk to them a lot, like comment on their Facebook posts and really become their best friend and let that friendship and that relationship speak for your credibility. Because nothing that you try and sell them is going to fix the problem. It'll probably just make it worse.
Big time. For sure. I love that, man. All right, guys. That is it. We're wrapping up. Again, if you didn't catch this live, you better catch this on the replay because this interview was filled with golden nuggets that Brian dropped. Really love the stuff you talked about, man. All right, guys. So we're going to bounce out of here. Again, if you guys have any questions, shoot myself or Brian a message. If you want to just tell us what you're struggling with, what you need some help with, let us know. Be happy to help. And yeah, guys, stay tuned for the next couple lives coming up this week. And yeah, talk to you guys soon. Cool.
All right, guys.